Now, where was I? Sorry, I was vaping. I have to stop this video every like 30 minutes or so because my camera will stop recording if I don't. So I might as well stop it and then restart it. I'll probably upload this in parts. But yeah, this is all done back to back, just so you know. So yeah, the songwriter saying is, yes, this pop music isn't for you. We haven't made this so you can find meaning in your life. We haven't made these songs. We haven't promoted all of this trash so you can find meaning. We have done this because we're doing, in the movie, they're like, we're communicating codes to each other. And I'm like, I do think that is going on. You take like Beyonce's, they call it an Illuminati ritual she did at the Super Bowl. I never watched it. I don't really do stuff like that. But yeah, she did some sort of a occultic ritual, called it her performance art. I believe that's maybe, if they do mean something like that, they are, this cult is communicating with each other. That's like the code. They're like, yeah, see, we're doing this ritual now. And it's hard for me to explain what I mean by that, but they're not communicating the codes that the movie's saying they're communicating. That wouldn't make any sense. That wouldn't make any sense because it doesn't really make sense that they would do that. There's easier ways to communicate with each other than through that. But it's like, for those of you out there that know, look at us doing this ritual and partake in this ritual, right? It's as if they're conducting like a yeah, like an occultic ritual through some of these things, and the people who know are then participating by understanding that ritual. Something like that. And again, I'm not 100% on that, but this is sort of like a theory I'm having, that this is kind of what they're saying in the movie. Anyway, so this scene ends with Andrew Garfield getting really upset, agitated, and he's like, tell me what the tunnels are about. And he starts walking towards the guy, and the guy pulls out a gun, starts shooting at Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield runs for cover. And the guy, his revolver runs out of bullets, and so he reaches under his piano to get another gun. And as he's doing that, Andrew Garfield, he has Kurt Cobain's guitar in his hand, because this room is filled with guitars, and he runs at the guy and bashes him over the head with it. And again, another disgusting image where you see the guy's bashed in head with just blood coming out of it. It's really gross. And he does that, smashes his head in, leaves the house. And then after that, by the way, can't remember at what point in the movie, but the conspiracy theorist guy that's writing these comics, that's kind of like telling people what's going on, the dark secrets of Silver Lake. Actually, that's where the title of the movie comes from, is the comics are called Underneath the Silver Lake. And it's, he goes back to the guy's house, and when he shows up at the guy's house, there's police cars outside and it's taped off, and he talks to an officer and he's like, where's this guy? And he's like, oh, he killed himself. And he's like, no, I knew this guy. I don't think he would have killed himself. And he's like, buddy, I just spent 2 hours in this guy's house. He seemed kind of like a nut. Interesting, right? The guy seemed crazy. Even though the guy was like right about things, even though this guy was correct. And again, another theme. It's like, if you notice ironically, yes, it's a theme in the movie. And I've actually had that theme in this video where I'm like, you probably think I'm crazy right now, right? Where it's like, the movie's like, yeah, and the people who know that it's not for, these codes aren't for the people who know what we're doing. People think they're crazy, even though they're right. And that's what the movie's saying. It's like, yeah, those people you think are crazy, they might have some things wrong. They might be like incorrect about some of it, but they're on the right track. They know more than you do, and they're right. And you'll call them crazy for it. And that will justify to us what we're doing to you. Right. And that will make you complicit in our crimes, basically. That's like you giving us the go-ahead to commit our crimes. And so the guy kills himself. Anyway, so Andrew Garfield then breaks into the crime scene, and he goes, and this guy has like this secret little compartment where he keeps that cereal box that I mentioned before. And he also has the equipment on which he's recording his surveillance cameras. Because he has surveillance cameras. And he tells Andrew Garfield before all of this that, yeah, I keep a watch over stuff because I know people are out to get me. Anyway, so Andrew Garfield goes in there. He watches the surveillance cameras, and he sees this owl person come in, the Kiss of the Owl, the Miss Owl person. It's like this naked lady with an owl mask on her face. And he sees that she's the one who killed him. Actually, you don't see her kill him. You just see her enter the house, walk in, look directly at the surveillance camera, and then it's implied that she killed him, but you actually don't see her kill him. Interesting thing. You don't see that happen. You just see her enter the house. So after this is, and again, this is before he meets the songwriter. So after he meets the songwriter and kills the songwriter, Andrew Garfield goes back home, and he's laying, he goes, he needs sleep, so he goes and lays down, and he has a gun with him, and he's laying there, and then he wakes up to the sound of one of his windows breaking. So he gets up with the gun, and all paranoid, he goes out into his thing, and he sees that something's been thrown through. I assume you don't see what's been thrown, but it looks as if something's been thrown through his patio door. And so he's like looking around, and as he's looking there at it, behind him, you see the owl lady come out of it's like his, what do you call it? Like his cabinets. Except it's not out of like a cupboard door, it's like out of the side of it, right? And it opens up, and she like puts a leg out. She comes out and she starts walking up behind him. And then he turns around and he sees her and he points the gun at her, and there's like she kind of like goes, a little bit or something like that, and then runs away into his bedroom. And then when he goes into the bedroom, he like can't find this owl lady. It's really weird. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but there's some metaphor going on there that I don't know what it means. Because I'm like, that owl lady can just disappear out of nowhere. You can just disappear, right? Is there, and then it's not there. And you think, oh yeah, she's there to kill him. Right? like, oh, by the way, interesting thing. Remember how I mentioned Jeffrey Epstein? And everyone, Epstein didn't kill himself. That was a meme, right? That was out there. Maybe he did kill himself, right? Maybe he faked his death. Maybe whatever. We don't know. But interesting how the conspiracy theorist guy, they say he killed himself, and Andrew Garfield goes, well, I knew this guy. He didn't seem like he was going to kill himself. The cop says, no, I've been in his house. Looks like he was going to kill himself. Again, suicide, right? Now, if you look into certain things, there is this joke, sort of meme around a number of years ago, and it's kind of still around, where it's like, yeah, I can't believe that guy killed himself by shooting himself twice in the back of the head, which I think it was referring to this murder with a guy that was connected to the Clintons, or suicide, something that was ruled a suicide with some guy that was connected to the Clintons. And the guy had 2 bullets in the back of his head and they ruled it a suicide. Something like that. I don't know much about it. Don't take me at my word for that one. But there's this joke around, which, yeah, just make sure that Hillary Clinton doesn't suicide me and everything. So there's this theme within alternative media culture, is what I'm saying, about people killing themselves. There's even people who are really paranoid. You'll see them say, where they start uncovering some of this stuff, they're like, just so you know, I do not want to kill myself. Just so everyone knows, I have never thought of that. I don't take heavy drugs. I don't do this. I don't do that. And this is like a way of them, because they're scared that they're going to get killed and it's going to be made to look like a suicide. And it's, we're talking about like whistleblowers and stuff like that. And so they're like, I don't want to kill myself. This is a real thing. This is like, if you've been into like any sort of alternative media, any sort of like truth seekers sort of stuff, you'll hear about this. And they're pointing at this, being like, yeah, some of those people didn't kill themselves. I think that's what it's saying. Yeah, some of these people, and again, this is what the writer is saying. Yeah, some of these people didn't kill themselves. Anyway, so that's one of the things. This owl appears after Andrew Garfield kills the songwriter, appears now in Andrew Garfield's house, and notifications on my phone popped up. I'm trying to get them away, and then she disappears. And he can't find her. This owl thing, very strange. And it talks about killing people in their sleep, killing people in the middle of the night. In the comic from before, this owl, this is the way it does it, and it seduces people. It's very, I don't know what. So again, I think that when it says origins in trade and finance, I think that's referring to Jewish people, because that's like, if you were to look within like history and stuff, this is what you would be referring to when you said that, right? Like if you're writing something and you say like merchant, usurer, merchant and a usurer, that's referring to a Jewish person. That's a common anti-Semitic trope, right? But, when it's talking about seducing men and women alike and killing people in the middle of the night or something, like it's I don't know. And then the fact that this thing just disappears as if it's not really there, I don't get it. So anyway, eventually Andrew Garfield starts putting everything together. He starts putting this all together. He starts cracking these codes. He meets the guy who disappeared. He meets her daughter, and they end up, she gives him this bracelet that was actually the bracelet of a girl who, or it looks like a bracelet of the girl he's been chasing this entire time. Remember that this is what's going on in the movie. He's trying to find this girl that he met, that lived in his apartment complex. And she gives him the bracelet. She's like, I found this in my dad's office. So she puts it on him, and it's like this metal sort of bracelet. And then they're in this reservoir swimming, and she's like, I took you in here so that, she's like, I feel like I've been being followed, and I took you in here because I want people to think that I took you out here to have sex. But I actually did that so I can give you this and tell you things. Because he said he meets that girl at this party. Sorry, it's a little, my brain, it's a little scattered, I know, but he meets this girl at this party, and she's looking at a painting, and he's like, yeah, I knew, or she goes, do you know who I am? And he's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, I knew one of the girls that was found with your dad. Oh, yeah, sorry. That's why, okay, that's the connection. Andrew Garfield figures out that one of the prostitutes that this guy was found with was actually the girl he had met. And so there's a link there, and he goes, yeah, I knew one of the girls that was with your dad. And she's like, oh yeah? And he's like, yeah, I've been looking into it. I've been trying to figure out what happened to her. She's like, what did you find out? So she's obviously suspicious too. And after this, they go on a walk. And then she's like, hey, have you ever been in the reservoir? Let's go into this reservoir here. Let's climb the fence and jump in and swim around. And then that's when she tells him, I didn't bring you out here to have sex. I brought you out here to talk because I feel like I'm being followed. So they'll think we're just having sex, but really I just want to talk. And she gives him the bracelet and everything. And then while they're swimming there, they start getting bullets shot, or they start getting shot at, and they go under the water, and then she dies. And then Andrew Garfield runs back to his house naked because they're skinny dipping. And he's like, now he looks at the bracelet. He wakes up the next morning, or he's been laying on the floor just like probably completely exhausted. I don't think he's slept in a while. Been running on adrenaline. He wakes up the next morning, he looks at the bracelet, and he has a gun in his hand. And on the bracelet, it's like, it has like what appears to be like a chess move. And then it has like there's like this weird code on it. So he starts trying to crack the code, and he's trying to figure this all out. And then eventually he figures out that, oh, that thing that guy said, that cereal box, that is actually part of it. That is actually part of what's going on here. And he had this cereal box with him because when he broke into that guy's house, he took it with him. And he opens up the cereal box. He pulls out the overlay of the map that's inside. And basically he's able to figure out where in Silver Lake the thing he's looking for is by breaking this code. And so he goes to this place, and there's another theme in the movie about hobo codes, right? So that's like a thing these hobos would mark on buildings and stuff, these different codes, these different symbols that meant different things, like 2 diamonds side by side meant keep quiet. And so as he's going to enter this place that he found by breaking this code and all of this pop culture stuff, and that was on the bracelet as well, as he goes there, there's this hobo code on this concrete block, and he looks it up, and it means this is a dangerous place. Beware. And so he goes in, and he walks up to this little hut. It looks like this, kind of like a shaman's hut a little bit. And there's these little sort of totems that are stuck into the ground. And he walks into it, and he finds the guy was supposedly dead from a car crash. It's not him. It's another guy. It actually doesn't say who the guy is. Sorry, it's this guy. He finds this guy there, and the guy's like, what are you doing here? And so he's like, sees that Andrew Garfield has a gun, and the guy's with 3 women. Remember Jesus and his 3 Dracula brides? It was weird, right? Weird thing to say. Now this guy's that's in the hut, he's dressed in white. All of the women he's with, the 3 women he's with, are dressed in white. And they're all seated behind him, and this is when the movie tells you something. And it's really weird because I don't even really believe it myself. Okay? So Andrew Garfield has the gun, and he's like, blah, 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 blah. You know, I want to know, what are the tunnels? What is all of this about? Why are there bomb shelters? The guy goes, they're not bomb shelters. They're tombs. Like, tombs? It's like, yeah, they're tombs. Remember pyramids? Remember when I said the thing about pyramids? Yeah, pyramids, right? It's referencing, that's what the pyramids were, right? He's like, it's a tomb. Or he goes, it's like a crypt, it's a tomb, it's an ascension chamber. Ascension chamber. He's like, what? And this is, again, and this is going to be hard to explain everything, but he's like, it's an ascension chamber. And then, so the guy starts telling Andrew Garfield, and again, this is continuing on with the theme of this really elite person just really looking down on those who are not in his circle. He's like, you know, these ascension chambers, he's like, yeah, we're leaving this world. Me and my 3 brides here, we're going to leave this world and go, he's like go to heaven? He's like, no. He's like, a place that's actually real. So we're going to leave this place. We're going to ascend to a higher plane of existence or something like that. And, you know, we're going to do that. And he's like, do you think that, he's like, in order to like build all of this, it takes a lot of money. So only the rich can do this, ascend. And, you know, how, like, you've seen the tunnels, you've seen the crypt. He's like, do you know how much money that costs to build? Do you know how much? He's like, we also spend a lot of money making sure that people don't start looking, or we also spend a lot of money making sure that we can get away with murder. People don't start looking into things too deeply, right? Because he knows at this point that Andrew Garfield told him, he's like, I'm looking for this girl. You know, she was with, what was his name? Something Seventh. Jefferson Sevenths. Which kind of reminds me of like the Jefferson, what was it? The Jefferson 5? Or no, no, the Jackson 5. Okay, never mind. I thought there was a connection there. Jefferson Sevenths. That's Sevenths with a C-E at the end, by the way. Jefferson Sevenths, this billionaire that died in the car crash. He's like, she died with him. What's going on? What's this all about? And he's telling him, and he's like, yeah, he's not actually dead, and neither is she. She's in this crypt right now, in that guy's crypt, and they're waiting. They'll wait there for 6 months, and then they'll ascend to this higher level of existence, or whatever he's talking about. It doesn't really make sense, right? You're like, what? This other place, or they're going to leave this world? This guy's just like talking down on this world. He's like, you know, you wake up and you're just struggling to survive. What a pitiful existence this world is. He's talking about this, and he's like, you guys are beneath me, and, you know, we're going to ascend, and only us rich folk can do this. Anyways, Andrew Garfield. Now this is where there's a really important scene. Andrew Garfield then is able to phone this girl. He's like, well, you know, if you really want to know about this, he's like, I just want to know that this girl's okay. That's all I want to know. And he's like, well, why don't we get her on the phone? And so they pull out this little briefcase thing that has like a video phone in it. And they open it up, and, you know, he's like, yeah, can you put it on video? There's somebody here who wants to talk to you. And so he gives it over to Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield gets the briefcase, and there's the girl he's been looking for this entire time. She's in this chamber, kind of like the one he was in earlier. It's a different one, but it's similar. And she's there, and she's like, yeah, no, it's okay. She's like, why would you do this all? Like, why have you been looking for me? I've only met you once. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I needed to. And she's like, oh. He's like, are you okay? Like, are you really sure that you want to do this? And she looks behind her, and she's like, guys, I need to take this into the other room. And then, you know, they go. And as she's doing that, the billionaire dude that's in this hut, behind him goes, don't get her too emotional. She's in this crypt surrounded by that's been filled in now with concrete on all parts. She can't get out. Don't make her don't say things that are going to emotionally trigger her. There's no use making her time there worse. Or not worse, but no use getting her emotionally whatever when she can't get out of this thing. And so she goes into the other room and she picks up the phone and she's on video again, and he's like, yeah, so are you okay with this? A little tear comes to her eye and she wipes it away and she goes, well, I'm here now. I might as well make the best of it. Well, I'm here now and I can't get out, and I might as well make the best of the time I have left here. It's probably the most important scene in the movie. This is the scene that tells you everything. Andrew Garfield's on the phone. He hears that and he goes, yeah. And then he turns and looks outside of the hut, off into the distance. And what does he look at? And he sees, it shows the Hollywood sign. You see him looking at this and he goes, yeah, me too. Do you get what it's saying? She says, I'm stuck here. I can't get out. I might as well make the best of it. Andrew Garfield. Now, I've been calling him Andrew Garfield this entire time. That's the actor's name, right? Andrew Garfield looks at the Hollywood sign and says, yeah, me too. I'm stuck here. I can't get out. I might as well make the best of it while I still can. And the director who wrote the movie decided, let's tell them what we're actually talking about when we say this. Boom. Sign of Hollywood. Yeah, me too. Remember and I can't remember that those are the exact words that he uses, me too. Me too, remember hashtag me too. But if if he does use those exact words, that's undeniable that that's there on purpose. He looks at the Hollywood sign and says, yeah, me too. And I got the sense where it's like, that's not the character speaking, that's the actor speaking, right? He's like, yep, I'm stuck here. Okay, part 3 done. Part 4 coming up next. Should be finishing up in part 4.